Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And today I have someone with us that is a philanthropist, and he's also just an amazing realtor. He's got a great team. He's got a beautiful family. He's just one of the good old people that you want to get to know. And so we're going to get a chance to talk to him. And Joseph Chacon, thank you for coming.
Well, thank you so much. And that was a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. Coming from someone that I actually respect myself. So thank you.
Oh, cool. I'm glad that we're on it's a mutual admiration society.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And you know, that is the way it is around here a lot.
Right.
You know, we're both working at Keller Williams, and we have some amazing
We really do.
folks that
We
make
really
a difference in the world, right?
Right.
So if someone is on the outside looking in, we're just trying to give them a little insight into what it's like to really do what we do.
Right. Yeah.
But we're going to start at the beginning.
Okay.
So where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised right here, right in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
No.
From Albuquerque, my 1987, St. Joseph's Hospital. And basically grew up mostly Northeast Heights, Albuquerque. San Mateo and Comanche were most of my stomping grounds, as well as Eubank and Montgomery. I was one of those kids you probably saw riding up and down the street on his bike or on his rollerblades or skateboard. So that was me.
Sounds like it was a pretty great experience.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Of course, like a lot of people, we had some struggles through our childhood, but I also had a great mom and stepdad who gave us the best opportunity we had in our life. So it was a really good upbringing.
That is super cool. Yeah. Are they still with you?
Yeah. We got my mom, thank God, and my stepdad. Also have a biological father who's still involved, and so it was like this little community that helped raise me. It took a lot. There's a lot of work on this guy.
Okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty here. You guys think he's now we're going to get the true story.
Here we go.
No, seriously. So life was above average in your happiness level and the love that you received from 3 different parents instead of just 2. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so after high school, what happened?
So after high school, I got right into, in high school, I started working in the workforce at age 14. My grandfather, probably one of the most influential men in my life, who's no longer with us, his name was Paul Pino. That man was amazing. Huge influence, but he was like, all right, we're going to get you started working young. So at 14, all the way up to when I graduated high school, I was in the workforce and doing different various jobs. And right afterwards, I'm like, all right, I needed to put my hands to work. Let's go. Was brought up in the cabinet industry, the architectural millworking industry. And there was a place called OGB Architectural Millwork. Went right into that pretty much after high school and learned my way about commercial cabinets, of all things. Learned how to build the cabinets, learned how to machine the cabinets, learned how to eventually become an engineer for that facility. And I went to school, did some CAD work, and learned how to engineer commercial millworking building finishes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, right? From that to real estate.
Well, so how did that happen?
The Lord put it on my heart a while back that I wanted to get into real estate investing. I think at age 18, I had it started in my heart. We had that already there. I got through the millworking thing, and by the time I was 24 is when you had the recession. They started laying off people, and they started eventually in the office laying off engineers. Well, as soon as they had a round of layoffs, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th round, finally was my turn. And I was really distraught because I had poured a lot of time and effort into that company. But I knew at that moment that God had already planted a seed. And I'm like, I know what I'm going to do. So right when I got laid off, I think it took me half an hour to clean out my desk. And I was driving away from the facility. And in the rearview mirror, I saw this beautiful sunset. It was about to set. It was the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life. But it was in the rearview mirror of my car. And so I look at it, I see it. And I went from this distraught feeling like, man, you just got laid off from something you love, to an overwhelming peace. And when I hit that peace, it also reminded me of what I was going to be doing after this, which was I'm going to be getting into real estate. And because I want to help people, I want to make a difference. And I know real estate is that vehicle to get me there. So I felt this overwhelming peace, and then I became joyful about being laid off because it became an opportunity. And so I called my mom. I'm like, all right, hey mom, hey guys, I just got laid off, but guess what? We're going to celebrate. I'm buying pizzas and we're going to have a pizza party. So I went home, I bought pizzas, and we had a pizza party after that happened. It was pretty cool.
Wow, that is so cool.
Right? It was like being laid off was supposed to be a sad thing, but it was actually a very joyful, positive thing for me. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. So guys, this is Think Your Way to an Epic Life, right? And so how many of us have been in a situation like that where something happened that was out of our control and we felt like the world just got pulled out from under us, and then you gave yourself 5 minutes to have a pity party?
Yeah, well, I'll go to 30. I'll give you 30, probably
30?
to be honest. Yeah, 30 minutes.
30 minutes, and then it was like, okay, let's go.
Let's go, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
what
fun.
A gift that is.
Yeah, yep. And then it was just extreme focus, never look back since. All right, what do I got to do to get into this career and be the best darn real estate person I could be?
Okay, so how did it start?
So originally I had started over at Caldwell Bankers, where I ended up. And that crew helped me. They really nurtured me. They brought me up into the business. And my friend Kay Asbill, which I love dearly, had just given me, I call her Mama Kay, right? She might not know this, but I call her Mama Kay when I talk about Mama Kay. Mm-hmm. She gave me that warming, safe feeling for real estate and just said, all right, it's time to go. And just sent me in the content that I needed to learn, taught me about the contracts. I went to the classes and learned all about real estate. And I was trying to figure out this whole thing of, okay, I know I got to get into real estate. I know I need to first earn some clients and first help them sell property. But like, where's the part where I'm going to make a difference? Like, I knew like early on, God was like, you're going to make a difference. You got to like help be part of the change, you know? But I wasn't sure how. I'm like, okay, got to earn clients, got to make a difference. What happens? What does something come first? So I was probably like a little confused there at first, like, not knowing, like, all right, cool. I want to go get involved and volunteer. I want to go fund something, but I don't have any money. So I can't fund something, so I can at least put my efforts towards something. So at the time I got involved for the board of directors for our HOA for a self-managed condominium complex. You know, like the difference between the self-managed versus like an actual property management company. Mm-hmm. Self-managed is the board manages the facility, and they hire the staff to work, and you're basically a manager. So you're volunteering hours upon hours to make that place run, right? So congruently along me trying to learn the business, I also was learning how. I was also learning HOA 101 and condominium HOA 101 of all things. I just started learning what a community needs to thrive. There was about 268 units at this complex. There was about 1,000 residents. And I learned that we all live on top of each other and all had to communicate in a way to figure out how we can all live together at the same facility.
Right.
And so that was educational because that taught me even more about people, right? I learned about how people work. I learned about when you're living with folks or, you know, it's condominium. So there were 3 stories high. There's residents above. There's residents below you if you're on the middle floor. You could have a bottom floor unit or a top floor unit. They have to figure out how to get along. And if they can't get along, they come see a board member to say, hey, this person's bothering me. Their music's too loud. Something's going on. And then you have to mediate those situations out. So you're doing some mediation, working with people, helping them overcome obstacles. But at the same time, trying to sell real estate. I didn't realize that that same community would naturally and organically start producing clients and business for me.
Haha, there we go.
So how I got started in career was a little bit more of me like wanting to make a difference in a community, and organically and naturally the business followed.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Total sense. I don't know if you saw the podcast with Dusty Oglesby.
Not yet.
But it was the exact same thing. He went to be a tennis pro. Mm-hmm. And he became this tennis pro for all these people. Wow. And then he got into real estate, had no idea he had this huge sphere of influence already. That's so that he cool. had loved and cared for and nurtured. And, you know, that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You do the right thing and the rest can follow. long as your heart's in the right place, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Right.
So you that was 100% volunteer. Mm-hmm. You had no ulterior motive. Mm-mm. You were making friends, mm-hmm. and now those lifelong friends mm-hmm. are your raving fans telling the world that if you want to buy or sell real estate, this is the man you need.
Yep, and my first client was in that complex. And the first client I ever had, I called them actually with Dusty's class. Remember he told us to call something like someone that impacted you?
Yes.
I called my first client, and it was at that complex. And it was her mom that was involved, who's no longer with us. But I called her, and I told her, do you realize that you guys were my first client? I had no idea. She had no clue. And I thanked her because I said, you guys were the start of my career. And I appreciate you so much every day. I don't think you even understand. And she was crying. We were all crying on the phone. Like we had a moment. And great lady. She was a great lady. But that instance was funny because when I first showed them the condo that they were looking to buy, her mother at the time, she says, hey, we like the condo. We would like to make a bid on it. And normally a real estate professional might say, okay, we'll go ahead and get the paperwork written up for you. Do you know what I said? I was so unsure and not knowing what to do. I second guessed myself and I was like, really? Really? Like, oh, I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and get the paperwork ready for you.
I love it. Oh my God, I love it.
What do you do with that? Really?
Just kidding. I was just kidding.
Yeah, I built up their confidence level in me that instant.
There you go.
That was something.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. So that was your first client.
Yes.
And so you're doing the HOA thing. Mm-hmm. She contacts you to buy or sell.
That was a buy.
That was a buy.
That was a buy. Yeah.
Okay. To buy into the condos where you were.
They were buying into the condos where I worked. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a cool start. And I did quite a few transactions there at that complex. That kind of gave me a good start. That wasn't the majority of my first year's production, but it was a big portion of it. And I met some great people. I learned so much about community building. I learned so much about people through that whole experience. I think I was there for 6 years. We lived in that complex. And it was my wife and I that were there. And by the time we had moved out of that complex, we had 3 kids and 2 dogs in a 1-bedroom minimalistic condo.
Woo!
So we got married and we moved in there, and it's just us 2, but we started building a family. And it got tight there towards the end. But we figured it out. We figured out minimalistic living. Brittany, my wife, had a really cool system down on making sure that we kept minimal clothing in the condo, minimal toys, and try to keep things really organized. It was a cool lifestyle. While her crazy husband's out there trying to fix all the world's problems of the HOA at Hillcrest and training security officers, training maintenance, training property managers. It was crazy. It's a crazy time.
Oh my goodness. So you have achieved a level of success that most people really probably couldn't actually really imagine. Mm. And so if they walk into your life on this chapter, they're just like, well, it's easy. Mm. But they don't see that you were living in a 1-bedroom apartment Mm-mm. with an entire family and dogs Mm-mm. and all the struggle. Mm-hmm. So talk to me really about the struggle to get to where you are now.
Yeah, the struggle, I mean, most people out there by this time have already heard of Dave Ramsey and the Financial Peace University program. And Dave Ramsey really helps people, they help them dump debt and build wealth. So right before I even started real estate, that foundation was set in me where I was facilitating the Financial Peace University course. So one of the things he says is act your wage.
Ooh, act your wage.
Act your wage. And I learned that early on in real estate, where I think a lot of realtors might want to come into the industry and they see the 10-year realtors who've made it successful, that they want to look like that now. I think Dave kind of taught me, that whole program kind of taught me, no, you're not going to look like that now. You act your wage. Well, my wage is 0 because I'm not earning anything from real estate. So I need to act like I don't have any money. So it's living minimalistically. Oh, something I didn't tell you. We lived when I got married, I owned a 4-bedroom house. I moved out of that house and rented it out to downsize to a minimalistic condo.
Oh.
Because I needed to act my wage. The minimalistic condo kept our expenses low. Okay? And by telling our finances what to do and living below our means, it allowed me to get to a place in real estate where it was eventually starting to pay the bills. It was eventually starting to help us build a career that we can be proud of. The thing about real estate is we have to sustain. It's going to take 2 years probably sometimes for people to get their bearings flowing. So you know that going in. I need to live minimalistically for at least 2 years and not go buy the brand new car, not go buy all the brand new stuff. Build my career first, then act my wage as I go up. Okay? I'm selling now. I have fluent income now. Now maybe I can go ahead and buy a car. Now maybe I can go ahead and buy that next house. That's what Brittany and I did.
That is amazing. Guys, that kind of self-discipline is almost unheard of. And I want to tell you that I have heard it said, I'm sure it's arguable, I have heard it said that the number one indicator of someone being successful is the ability to have delayed gratification. Delayed gratification, and I am not good at it. And most realtors are not good at it. I'm so impressed. What did you ever weaken and say, okay, let's just kick those people out and go live in a real house?
Yeah. There was frustrating moments at times. It got really, really tight. It was very hard to do that thing, and it was a little bit of a struggle. But there were also good times too, and we knew that we were on the same mission to accomplish the same goal. That was very important. And so that helped. And even today, I still have the same mindset. Like, I can probably afford a new car and a new truck. I haven't done it yet. Eventually I will. But I still have my truck that I was driving since high school. I have a 1992 Ford F-150 that I bought from my grandfather, the one I mentioned, Paul. And I bought it from him. I was so proud to buy grandfather's truck, and I made it work this entire time. But I'm like, I don't need a new truck right now. I haven't earned it yet. I don't feel like I've earned it. I have a mile marker for when I earn a new truck. Delayed gratification was something that I was not good at early on. I had to practice, and till this day, I still do. I wake up sometimes and I see those Teslas, and I'm like, I'm going to buy a Tesla today. But then I'm in real estate investing too. And I'm like, I can buy a Tesla or I can buy a condo. I'm gonna go for the condo. I might get that Tesla next year. Let's try that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's funny. Some of my friends make fun of me every once in a while and all playful jokes. But people know I drive old cars, and I'm just not at the point to where I'm ready to fork it over yet. So,
gosh, that is so impressive. So what changed you? Was there a moment that?
It was that Financial Peace University program, I think, that got inside of me. My cousin Carlos Baca, he was an agent on my team. Carlos Baca, he introduced me to the program at like 19, I think. Wow. Early on. And I was ready to go throw it down. I was already in debt. I think I was 30, 40 grand in debt by the time I was 20. Something like that, 19. I watched the program and I'm like, oh, I'm doing this all wrong. And so I dumped all that debt and bought a house is what I did at age 21. And from that, I realized, because I changed the way that I use my finances, I was able to buy this house. I can rinse and repeat that because I delayed what I wanted to do. Kara, I was ready to buy a pretty sweet truck. Right, I was ready to buy some pretty sweet stuff, and while I was almost 40 grand in debt,
right,
I was going to go on top of that.
Because that's just what you do.
So I think that moment made me realize, okay, by being disciplined with your finances, I was able to buy this house. by being disciplined and using delayed gratification for my future, what else can it do? And the curiosity of that just continued. And whenever I reached that moment inside of me that's saying, and it happened more times than I can count. Okay, go buy that car, Joseph. I'm like, no. I got to a point where I haven't earned it yet. I know that my goals and where I want to go, I don't see the trajectory going that direction yet. And when I see it and feel it and I know that I'm accomplishing that, then I'll earn that next step forward. That's kind of my mentality around it.
Phew, that's very, very impressive. And I had my first first almost experience with that, and I can't help but put it in here, is I have 2014 Honda Pilot.
Okay.
And the paint is like, it was completely almost gone. And I said, the car is great. It has over 100,000 miles on it, but it's a great car. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I can't drive around in a car that looks that bad in real estate. I just can't. Right. Well, my husband had the brilliant idea of painting the car.
There you go.
And we took it to Mexico while we were on vacation and had it. It looks perfect now.
There you go.
It looks perfect now. Yeah. And for $2,100 instead of $60,000.
$60,000 for a new car. And you made that work.
Right.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Right. And I was telling one of my coaching clients about it, and she said, "Oh, that was the most grown-up thing I've ever heard." I'm like, "Oh, I'm a grown-up now?"
That was a good choice.
Yeah. So it is. Choices are what is it Dusty says?
I don't remember what he says on choices.
You make choices. Choices you make you. You make choices, and the choices make you.
The choices make you. That sounds about right.
Yeah. So you've been making some really good choices. Let's talk about those. Let's start with your first house you bought when you were 21.
Okay.
Which is just so crazy. In my defense, the people who come onto this podcast, we've had two that have bought when they were 20 and one now that's 21, right? But it is very rare.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Very rare for someone young to buy and be thinking that way futuristically. Mm-hmm. Dave Ramsey did that.
Mm-hmm. Dave Ramsey is the one that kind of got me there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then what was next?
So here's the part, Kara, that I couldn't figure out, and I'm still, like, even till this day, having a hard time figuring it out. But it is, I knew real estate was supposed to be making a difference. I knew it was not just my business and career, but my ministry. I knew real estate was a vehicle to be able to do something for the world that is good for the world. And other people smarter than me figured this out a lot sooner than I did, to be honest. It took me every bit of my 11 years in this business to try and figure out how to do this thing. But I would sometimes spend too much of my time doing volunteer work and trying to figure out how to run HOAs, how to change that side of things, and how to do right by people versus also being a business mind. And so I teeter-tottered between the two a lot. It was a lot of wavering and figuring that out. So I'm like, okay, Joseph, get straight. Focus on one thing. It's because you are going to be disciplined on your business that is going to produce what you need to do more ministry. Right?
Okay, look in the camera and say that again.
I said it's because of you being disciplined in your business. The results of that will produce what you need to do, what you can be able to do for your ministry.
And there's a pull against that, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, well, why do you need to do better?
Yeah.
Why do you need to do more?
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so keep going.
Exactly. And that became that why, and that's what it is for me right now. So I've been focusing, especially the last 2 years, I'm getting really disciplined in my business. So it will produce what it needs for me to make an impact in the world, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. The best way to help poor people is to not be one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is. I mean, you want to help, but you've got nothing to help with.
Exactly.
And as much as I hate what I'm about to say because it sounds so terrible, but it's true, money is power. Mm-hmm. And power really needs to be in the hands of wonderful people like yourself. What do you do? What do you do right now? Tell me. Let's fast forward to today. Mm-hmm. Where are you at with your properties and what are you doing with them?
So the way that this happened was I was fortunate enough to help a real estate investor build his real estate empire and what he was doing. And I respect this guy so much. He's been able to do so much in the short 7 years that I was working with him, and watched how proactive this guy was. And I really look up to him. But what I was able to do was he gave me an opportunity to go ahead and buy a big portion of his portfolio. And he showed me basically how to do it. And I ended up going ahead and purchasing it from him. So I was able to buy a pretty good amount of condos from him, and also try to figure out how to use these condos to make an impact. So these condos were already turnkey, producing rent condos, already tenants in all of them, and he was able just to sell them to me in bulk package like that. We bought them individually. Really cool opportunity. I figured, okay, we need to figure out a way to make an impact. I'm involved with a ministry through the Dream Center, New Mexico Dream Center, which fights the fight against human trafficking and child homelessness. And so they need places to house and help rescue some of these human trafficked victims. And we really try to supplement that effort with the rents that we are getting from some of the other condos. So we have a few sponsored condos, and then some additional full rent condos that help pay for that differentiation for the ministry, right? We get these traffic victims through. We help provide. The Mexico Dream Center does all the work. Someday I'd love to talk about them. They help these people. They find a safe place for them, and then they rehabilitate them back into society. And what we have there is just a place for them to feel safe.
Okay, so our office got to go and volunteer at the Dream Center, so I know that much compared to what you know. So can you give us just a real quick synopsis of who they are and who they serve and how someone can help?
Okay. The Mexico Dream Center is an organization that fights the fight against human trafficking and child homelessness. The person who is the one in charge right now, her name is Shally Rep. She's an amazing woman, and she is taking charge with an entire crew, a staff of going and bringing those victims to their facilities. They provide mental health services for them, counseling services, resources to pull them out of the atmospheres that drew them into human trafficking in the first place. And if there's ever children that are involved, especially like homeless children are involved, they also bring that in and help them find resources and get them to where they need to go. And there's so many components to Dream Center, but the fact that they're not just a place that takes them out and goes and puts them somewhere and says, okay, you guys are out. They invest into these victims. They have counseling sessions. They go one-on-one with these guys and really try and help them formulate a plan for their life, help them recover. They spend some time with them. They have new projects kicking off all the time. People are starting to pay attention to what they're doing. And I'm watching these guys start to grow and expand and make a huge difference. And I'm so inspired by what they're doing, because the darkness of these people that go through this is really dark. It's a really, really dark place they face. And the ones who are helping them on the other side, they also have to meet them in those dark places and help show them the light. Give them hope. Give them something to look forward to. And so you can help different ways. Like as a community, we can come together. They always need funding. This is purely funded by people donating funds. And so you can go to the Mexico Dream Center website. You can look them up on Google. There's a donations page. Anytime that you guys are able to fund them, right? They're doing good things.
Guys, we're talking about people, children and women, probably not men, that are...
I haven't yet heard of a male situation, but I do know it's primarily women from what I know.
So it's a human. There are humans that it is horrendous. And $10 from you to them with 10 other people really makes a difference.
Huge difference. Anything helps. They have educational things every Every year, they're probably going to start doing 2-a-year educational seminars. You can call and ask when those are. Also, they have a Breakfast of Champions coming up. That's coming up in October. If you want to go get educated on what they're doing and who's involved, that's a great event to go to. You can reach out to any of us for that event. But the impact that I see these guys making and the staff and what they put into these victims, it is purely a God mission. I see them working it every day, and they have a heart for these people.
Yeah, how could you not? If you allow, and I'm very, very guilty, seriously. I don't watch the news. I just can't. I am very empathetic and I feel things. However, all it takes for evil to prevail is for good men and women to do nothing. Mm-hmm. And so it's nice to want to try and hide, but what if it was your daughter or your cousin or your mother, or so just even if you can't go down and volunteer and get involved, money is huge, and money in their hands makes a lot more difference than you. So if you go out and buy food and take food to them, you're paying full retail. When you give them $10, they can buy a lot of food with it.
They can buy a lot, and it keeps boots on the ground. It keeps them there. They actually go out onto the streets with resources and services to make sure people know that they are there. They'll go on Central and hand out service bags to people who need them, right? So they know about them. Wow. This is not just a lot of lip and a lot of in-office stuff. They get out onto the streets. It's amazing to see what these folks are doing.
So you're partnering up with them in what ways?
So basically what we're doing is we provide funding as we can, but we're just providing safe houses for them.
So you could rent the same house out to someone else for more money, yet you choose to do this.
Correct.
Why?
Because I believe if I am a human here on this earth, sucking up wind, God has us here for a reason, and we should be doing things for other people. And I think that needs to flow through us throughout all of our life, all the time. This specific situation hits me pretty hard because I have 3 daughters myself. I can't imagine people taking innocence from people the way that they do, and guiding them that direction. That's not what life's about, and that's not what life is meant for. Well, I'm so lucky to have the life that I have, and my daughters sure as heck are going to have a good life, but others should have that experience too and that opportunity, and we need a fight to offer that. There's just this evil in the world we're going to have to combat. Being boots, contributing, we got to do it. There is no, there is no maybe. We have to do it, period. It's going to be a part of my lifestyle and my kids' lifestyle, and we're going to do it.
Amen. Amen. Guys, the government has failed their war on drugs, on all these things, and the public, back when the world wars happened, people came out of their kitchens and they went to work in the factories, and Americans, regular everyday Americans that are realtors and cops and teachers and whatever job you've got, whatever you can do to help, it does matter.
It does matter.
Yeah.
If we all contribute, man, we're contributing towards what this world could be. We're contributing towards light. We need a lightness to fight the darkness. And that's just it.
That's it.
Fact.
That's it. Wow. Okay. Shoo, excuse me.
Sorry to throw you off there. I get really passionate about this topic, and I can go on and on about it.
Yeah. Well, how cool, though, that instead of just being somebody on the sidelines that is complaining about it, you're actually doing something. And so often, guys, we have a tendency to judge others without knowing anything about them. And so when we look at successful people who own a bunch of properties, if that's all you knew about him, you'd probably look at him a whole lot differently, right? Mm-hmm. So but power needs to be in good hands, and I'm very, very grateful that money, which is power, is in your hands, and that you're doing incredibly cool stuff with it.
And I appreciate you. I mean, it's an effort that we all have. I know you have the same heart, and you've given towards mission work for the Dream Center and some of these efforts that we do yourself. So thank you for that. It's a community effort, man. I'm just a cog in the wheel, and honestly, all the glory to God here, because He's the one doing this, and it's the community effort and the Lord that's going to make the change.
There you go. That's it. Joseph Chacon, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any last words of wisdom for somebody who's maybe afraid to buy their first home or to buy an investment property?
I would just say, don't think your way into paralysis. Plan your way into action. That's what I would say.
That's beautiful. That's a mic drop. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Please subscribe.
See you guys.